Okay, we'll go ahead and get started because I've got 2 o'clock. First off, I'd like to welcome everyone here today for the first insurance committee meeting of this year. My philosophy is we're not going to have one of these every week. We're only going to have them when we need them, and you know, that may mean every week or it may mean every 2 days or whatever. But we're only going to have a meeting when we need it, and I only plan to have about 4 or 5 this whole session. So I hope that satisfies everybody. First off, please turn off your phones, PDAs, whatever you have, so they don't ring. At least have them on vibrate. And I've asked Jay Neal if he would open with a word of prayer.
For the privilege and opportunity we have to bow our hearts before you. We thank you, Lord, for the beautiful day that you've given us. And certainly, Lord, while the weather may not always be what we would desire, it is your plan, and we thank you, Lord, for that. We thank you for this opportunity with the community today. We pray for your wisdom and your guidance, and we'll give you the praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
There's 2 or 3 people I'd like to introduce you to because they're the ones that basically run my office. But Pamela Lewis, down the end, my administrative assistant, and sitting next to her is Courtney Martin. She's an intern from Savannah State, I think. So I don't see Lynn Whitten yet, but Lynn Whitten from the Legislative Council will be our counselor. And if anybody has any legislation, I would encourage you to work through her, because she's going to be the final interpretation of what we have to deal with. So I would encourage you to work through her. We still have 1 or 2 coming in. I'd like for everyone to introduce themselves. Because there's some folks here who don't know who you are. Tell a little bit, what district you represent, what committees you're on, and just a little something about you. But before we get started, Representative Council just walked in. Lynn Whitten, if you'll raise your hand. I've already told him to work through you on your legislation. But Alec, if you'll start down there, what's your number?
29. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Alex Atwood. I have the honor to represent House District 179, which is Glenn County, Georgia, parts of St. Simons, Jekyll Island, and Brunswick. I practiced law down there, but before that, for about 28 years, I was a former federal agent. So I'm just happy to be here and trying to learn my way around.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Bill Hembry from House District 67. This is my 17th year in the General Assembly, and I think I serve on all the committees in the General Assembly. I am an insurance agent with Nationwide and look forward to serving on this committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have the pleasure of representing part of the great and growing city of Columbus. My name is Carolyn Hughley. I represent House District 133, and I am an insurance agent with State Farm Insurance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Bubba Epps. I represent House District 140, which is in the Middle Georgia area, and I'm a retired contractor. My pleasure to be here.
I'm an independent insurance agent. I've been in the insurance business for the last 15 years. Also done quite a bit in the group health market, and like I said, I'm glad to be on your committee. Look forward to working with you.
Representative Jay Neal, District Number 1, Walker and Catoosa County, northwest corner of the state. And I'll not go into the reason why it's the number 1 district, but I am on appropriations, economic development, tourism, this committee, public safety, and chair of state institution and property. And it's an honor to serve on your committee, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Rich Golick. I'm a member from Cobb County, District 34 in Smyrna. I've served since 1998, and I've been a member of this committee since I was first sworn in, and it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Howard Maxwell. Got me on? There you go. John Meadows, sidekick. I represent District 17, parts of Paulding and Haralson County. I've been down here. This is going on my 9th year, quite a few years on insurance. I'm also an insurance agent with Allstate. Been with them going on 34 years. Thank you.
Matt Dollar. I serve Cobb County, the eastern part of the county up there. I am on insurance, obviously, for about, I think this is my 6th year on insurance. Appropriations, I chair interstate cooperation, reapportionment, and that's all.
Hi, I'm Buzz Brockway from District 101 in Lawrenceville, in between 316 and 85, and my district's all houses. But I'm a small business owner and brand new at this, so I appreciate you being patient with me, and I'm glad I'm on your committees, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Keith Hurd, represent Athens, Clarke County, home of the Georgia Bulldogs. Go Dogs.
Signing days tomorrow, right?
That's right. Have served in the General Assembly. This is my 19th year. Have been on this committee for 19 years. Have been in the insurance business for 33 years. And look forward to continuing to serve. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Mike Chokus, and I represent District 134 down in South Georgia, Sumter, Sly, Marion, and part of Talbot County. And I'm just happy to be here. Thank you.
We're going to finish up with this row, so Mr. Meadows, you got here.
I'm not too late. I have a lot to do now for some reason. My name's John Meadows. I've been down here 6 years. I represent the 5th District up in Gordon County and Murray County. I've been in the insurance business 34 years. I am Mr. Hudgens' in-house counsel. I got a law degree yesterday, so I should be fine here. And I used to be the chair of this, and now you have a better chair.
Hi, I'm Darlene Taylor from Thomas and Grady County. I own a third-party administrator. I'll admit to 30 years in the business, but I manage and process and pay claims for self-funded employee benefit programs. I've been a licensed agent for 20 years.
I'm Joe Wilkinson, Sandy Springs, City of Sandy Springs. This is my 11th year on the insurance committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's a pleasure to be on this committee. And my name is Ron Mayo. Although I've never sold insurance, I have bought quite a bit of it. I have been in the General Assembly. This is my 3rd year. I represent District 91, which is I serve parts of DeKalb and Henry counties. And I am in the real estate business. I've been a real estate broker, investor, and property manager. And I'm on education, reapportionment, and now insurance. Glad to be here with you all.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ben Harbin, District 118, Columbia County. Ron, I don't know how you got on the committee if you don't sell insurance. Business owner. This is my 17th year on the committee.
Good afternoon. My name is Mickey Stevens. I hail from Savannah, Georgia, District 161. I represent the east side of Savannah and all the downtown and the river. I'm on Health and Human Services, Ways and Means, and reapportionment, as well as insurance. This is my 3rd year on insurance.
Thank you. And I think this is good in order for the folks out there to see who y'all are, and especially those on the internet who may be watching. And also give you a chance to, once you get to meet some of the folks that's in the room out here, that they're a bunch of good folks, and you'll have a good time working with them. I'm going to do just something just a little different. I'm going to have the commissioner come up and go ahead and make his presentation, and then once we do that, then we'll get on to the organizational meeting. But Commissioner Ralph Hudgens, who's can we vote on this?
Can we ask you questions?
Yes, we can ask questions. Because what we're looking for is, there's a lot of things that's coming down, and the commissioner, I'm sure, has a plan of where he wants to go and where he wants to take the insurance, Department of Insurance, and especially when you consider the health insurance that the judge just overruled completely yesterday, but it's going to end up in the court, so U.S. Supreme Court. So you got 15, 20 minutes. Just tell us what you want to tell us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am Ralph Hudgens, and I'm a used senator. Prior to that,
that's the way most of them are over there, isn't it?
Prior to that, I was in the House, which gives me some credibility, hopefully. But I'm delighted to be here. I'm delighted to see and get to hear who the members of your committee, and I congratulate you on being the new chairman of the House Insurance Committee. And I feel sorry for you guys that have legislation you're going to try to get through the Rules Committee this year. It's I fought with him last year trying to get legislation through the Insurance Committee. But I'm delighted that the voters of the state of Georgia saw fit to put me in this position. This is something I was like Ron. He said he doesn't know anything about insurance except he pays a lot of premiums. When they asked me to be chairman of the Senate Insurance Committee 7 years ago now, I told them I didn't want to be chairman because I didn't know anything about insurance. All I knew was that it was expensive and you were foolish if you didn't have it. And they said, good, that's just what we're looking for. So, but I have fallen in love with the industry. I think it is I know it is absolutely necessary if you're in business that you've got to have insurance. I've developed very close relationships with people around the state, and I want to tell you a little bit about what my goal is with the Department of Insurance. I want to make the Department of Insurance, I want to make Georgia the best state in the nation to do insurance business. I think that that this is the type of business, these are the type of jobs that we want to create. I'm going to California and meeting with a company that's considering expanding into Georgia. It's a large carrier. Some of y'all may not like to hear that, but I'm meeting with them on Thursday and tell them that the door's open, the welcome mat's out. We want to do business in Georgia. I want to create a regulatory environment that encourages companies to come in. For the 20 months that I ran for this position, I repeatedly heard over and over and over again how hard it was to get a rate filing approved by the Department of Insurance. And I think that is unforgivable. My philosophy is that if you don't have a reason to say no, then say yes. If you need more information on a rate filing, then seek that information, and then when you get the information, make a decision. Either say yes or no. Some of you may know that in the first Bush administration, I was the state executive director of a large agency in the U.S. Department of Agriculture. It was the agency that administered the Federal Farm Program. At that time, it was called ASCS. It's now the Farm Service Agency. But we had 143 offices in the state of Georgia. We had over 1,400 employees. And I learned during those years that I was in that position that the greatest tendency of a bureaucrat is to not make a decision, because you cannot be held accountable for a decision that you don't make. And I mean, that's absolutely the bottom line. If you don't make a decision, nobody can ever accuse you of making the wrong decision. And so I'm not going to put up with that in the Department of Insurance. I have totally done away with the media division of the Department of Insurance. I have consolidated property and casualty and life and health, and this is now the division of insurance product review, and I put Steve Manders, who has been with the department. He is now the division director of that, and Steve is under my
direction to make a decision. I've given him parameters on a rate filing that if the rate filing is within certain percentages and any one filing is not greater than a particular percentage, then he can approve this. He doesn't need to bring everything to me. My philosophy is if I've got people working for me, reporting to me, and I can't trust them to make a decision, I need to get rid of them and get somebody in there I can trust. I don't want to reserve every decision for the corner office up there on the 7th floor. I want people that can make a decision, will make a decision, and now if they have questions, they're free to come to me. And if it's above these percentages, this is almost like a flex rate filing. But if it's above that, then they're going to need to come to me, and we'll talk about it and we'll make the decision. But I want to expedite this decision-making process on these rate filings and get them done and get them out and stop this problem that the companies have with saying that Georgia is very, very unfriendly to businesses. I want fair competition. I want a fair marketplace. One of the things that I am beefing up very much is the fraud unit. One of the biggest problems we have in fraud is you cannot get the local district attorney to prosecute a case. They say this is a victimless crime and it's just costing the insurance companies. Nobody's been hurt, and so we're gonna concentrate on the armed robbery and murder and rape and these type of things. Well, in reality, fraud costs us all. I mean, when an insurance company is defrauded, then we all pay for it by increased premiums. So I have hired an ex-district attorney that understands how to put a case together where the district attorneys can look at them, how to structure that case, and how to prioritize the cases that come to our attention and then take it to the local district attorney and have it ready for him to prosecute. I want to make his job, the local district attorney's job, as easy as I possibly can to prosecute these cases of fraud. We've got a billboard campaign, and you probably have seen the billboards that say that fraud costs everyone. Indeed, it does. It costs everyone. We have beefed up the fraud investigators. We have gotten rid of quite a few upper middle management, I guess you would say, positions that pay $85,000 a year, and we replaced them with putting 2 people in at $42,000 a year, fraud investigators that can be out there and ferret out this fraud and make it happen. I've formed advisory committees around the state. We've already had the meeting of the P&C advisory committees. I've divided Georgia into 6 different geographical areas, and I've taken nominations from all stakeholders. I'm taking it from the insurance agents. I'm taking it from the insurance companies. I'm taking it from the P&C, from the auto body people. I'm taking it all. We have got 12 to 15 members in each geographical area, and we've got a southeast area, southwest, middle Georgia, then the metropolitan and northeast and northwest Georgia. These various committees then elect 3 representatives to be on a state advisory committee, and I want them to bring issues to me that need to be addressed, whether it be through legislation, which will have to come to you, and we do have some pieces of legislation, Mr. Chairman. I know that you say you don't want to have a bunch of meetings, but we are going to bring a legislative package. And Mr. Brule's committee chairman, I'll come once again with my hat in my hand to you, so maybe we can get it through. But there are things that we need to address. One of them is going to a 2-year agents licensing cycle. And let's stagger these licenses. Let's don't have them all come due on January the 1st, which makes a tremendous workload in our department, and then it tails off. let's do it on the birthday like you do your driver's license, and let's go on a 2-year cycle. That's a piece of legislation that the agents are very, very much in favor of, and that came up through these agents advisory councils. I've made a very, very strong pitch to the tax council to reduce, not eliminate, reduce the premium tax in the state of Georgia. I want it down to a maximum of 1 3/4%. Now, the General Assembly, in its wisdom, is going to have to determine how much of that 1 3/4% goes to locals and how much of it stays in the state revenue. But if we can do this, we can make Georgia so attractive to companies to come in here and domesticate in Georgia. But with our current up to 4 3/4% premium tax, this discourages companies from coming in here and having their home office in Georgia. Now, I don't want to go below 1 3/4% because I want an incentive for a company to come in here and have capital investments. And they can abate this premium tax by putting people to work, by building bricks and mortar, having claim centers or home offices or regional offices. They can abate the premium tax, and so that's why I want to keep it at 1 3/4, which will put Georgia just below the median in the United States, and we won't have to be paying so much retribution out of state. Aflac is a classic example of a Georgia-based company that redomesticated to Nebraska because of the high premium tax we have in Georgia. But we've got many, many, many more examples of companies that were domesticated in Georgia but moved out of the state because of the premium tax. So I need your help to help me convince this committee of the House and Senate to include the tax council's recommendation to reduce this premium tax down to a maximum of 1 3/4%. We've got some surplus lines. There's what they call the Slim Pack or the Slim Pack Light legislation that we're going to have to introduce in Georgia if we're going to be able to continue to receive the premium tax on surplus lines because of the federal legislation and the Dodd-Frank bill. Yesterday, Mr. Chairman, you mentioned the decision in Florida. I think that's fantastic, and I hope that this Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act is ruled unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. It's going to the Supreme Court, but I hope that they rule it unconstitutional. But in light of the fact that it may not be, we have to move forward with the creation of the exchanges. We're in discussion with the governor's office as far as who's going to take the lead and what we're going to do. And I had a meeting today in my office with some people that are giving us some exchange ideas that they're working in Mississippi and some other places. But this is just a little bit of, I guess, my philosophy. The governor, the new governor of Florida, Rick Scott, when he was sworn in, he said that there's an axis of unemployment. An axis of unemployment. It's excessive regulation, excessive taxation, and excessive litigation. And I think those same three things are keeping Georgia from being the best place for the insurance industry to do business in the United States. I can do something about the excessive regulation. We are moving this forward where we're going to be an agency that's not going to be wrapped up and tied up in bureaucracy. The excessive taxation, y'all can do something about it with the premium tax. The premium tax causes a company that is started in Georgia to remain small, because as soon as they start growing their book of business and they want to go into South Carolina, then they're going to have to start paying retribution for their business they do in South Carolina or into North Carolina or Florida. So that's the excessive taxation and the excessive litigation. I would love to see this General Assembly take another good hard look at tort reform. I know there were some parts of it that were ruled unconstitutional, and that's in y'all's purview, I guess you would say, and I'd love to see you address it. Let me just wrap it up there, and I'll be glad to answer any questions that anybody has.
Chairman Harbin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner, first of all, congratulations again.
Thank you, sir.
On winning the election. I appreciate what you're saying. A couple of questions on the premium tax. You're saying you want to cap it at 1.75. 1.75. Right. Does that include the locals?
That's including local. That's a combination of both of them.
So because right now you have two different taxes.
Right. You have 2.5% that is local, and that comes up to about $411 million.
Yes, sir.
And then you've got 2.25% that is the state portion that just goes in the general fund.
Right.
Last year the premium tax was just shy of $700 million.
And that's all premiums.
That's total premium tax that we collected.
Have you discussed this with those locals? I mean, you know how they are when we.
I was in your seat for 14 years, and I know that anytime you mention the premium tax, you're going to have ACCG and GMA light their hair on fire and storm the Capitol. And I understand that, but when I
talk, it's not our hair they're lighting on fire.
When I talked to the tax council, the parameters that they gave me was, don't worry about the local portion. We're going to make them whole.
Okay.
And so I went, but I do not want to say, well, we just want 1 3/4% for state portion. It's going to be up to y'all. And they specifically said this, and I recommended that it be up to the General Assembly to determine. I would recommend 1% to the local, which doesn't leave as big a hole to fill, and 3/4% to the state. But I want both the local portion and the state portion to have the possibility of having abatement, which means that they can get credits based on their investment and the jobs they place. That they put in place in Georgia to be able to offset this taxes just like they can with low-income housing credits.
Because I've dealt with this for years. I've dropped bills to reduce it. This company that you're talking to, has the premium tax issue, has it come up in those negotiations of trying to?
It has.
Is this something that might entice them to come if we could get
would
this
certainly
reduced?
entice them to come, but they're a California-based company. They're one of the largest P&C writers.
Right.
And they are wanting to expand east.
Right.
And they have already expanded into Pennsylvania, and I'm probably going to, some people are going to know who I'm talking about. They've already gone into Pennsylvania. They're planning on going to New Jersey, and they said Georgia was way, way, way down their list until they started hearing about my philosophy of the changes I'm planning on making. And so they came here and met with me over on the 7th floor, and they said, we wanted to come and see if you're real, if what you're saying, and we wanted to hear it out of your mouth. And they said that based on that, their plans were to move Georgia way up their priority list and look at expanding into Georgia within the next year or so. I'm going out there to meet with their president in California, and I'm leaving tomorrow and going out. And I'm hoping, but I was in Florida at an insurance summit down there. The first week I escaped the snow and ice on Thursday and went down and spoke at a summit. And I talked to 2 different auto writers that said that based on the change of philosophy, they want to come to Georgia. And I'm a free market guy. I think the more competition we have in here, the better off we're going to be. I think that Senate Bill 276 that changed above the mandatory minimums into file and use, I think it was a great move, and it proved to be it did exactly what we predicted. It brought down, or it brought down the cost of insurance to the consumers of Georgia, and that's where I want to go.
So these companies, and Mr. Chair, just one last. So these companies they're just looking to expand. Right now, they're not looking to move their headquarters here.
No.
Now, that would happen if we were to reduce, because where are we on premium tax?
We're the third highest.
I knew we were top 5. So we're third highest in the country.
We're third highest.
But they won't move their headquarters here because of that reciprocal. If they move it here, then they have to pay our tax all over the country. Is that correct?
Right.
So if we could ever get that down, then we might start getting those headquarters moved here, which are high-paying, clean energy or clean jobs.
But if we could get it down, then we could also entice companies to come in here and build claim centers, and build regional offices, and build call centers, and make capital investments. I mean, the classic example is Aflac.
Right.
Aflac is no longer a Georgia corporation because of our premium tax.
Commissioner, thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman Meadows.
Question on the insurance premium tax. Is it true that different companies, based on their size, pay a different rate?
Yes, sir, based on their investment in the state of Georgia.
The larger, the smaller?
It's not based on size. It's based on their capital investment. They can abate it. Now, they can also buy low-income tax credits, and that offsets the premium tax. But my understanding right now, they cannot offset the county or the local portion of that premium tax. They can only offset the state portion, and my recommendation is that they be able to offset both sides whenever y'all decide how to divide it.
After 16 years as a mayor, I guess I'm gonna light my hair on fire and come down here with them.
I knew you would. I'm just waiting to step out in the hall and get GMA and ACCG to horse collar me.
Does anyone else have a question for the commissioner? You got a fair shot at him right now.
Yep.
What's your number over there, David?
Commissioner.
Yes, sir.
Part of the problem that I see, and I understand where you're coming from, because we have probably the highest retaliatory tax. Which
third highest.
Well, anyway, Aflac left, and Geico, the largest operations in Georgia, and they won't domicile here because of that.
Right.
Can we, if we even look at it, can we take it one step at a time? If you get rid of the state's portion, now understanding that we got to make it up some kind of way.
Right.
And hopefully that if we did that insurance companies would move to Georgia, look at Georgia as domiciling. But if you take away the local portion, which cities are in line as we speak, waiting for the day that you send the check.
Cut the checks, right? I understand.
And that they already have a problem just like we do, but we would even make the problem worse for them. In an instant, wouldn't it be best to try to do it a little bit at a time? And why not, if we do it, why not put a window in it? Now,
well, Representative Lucas, you've been here longer than I have.
Yeah.
When I came into the House as a freshman, like Representative Brockway and Shaw and others here, you were not an old timer. You'd been here.
You
a
might
while.
as well say
that. And I realized that we're not going to be able to. It would never, ever, ever in the world pass as a standalone bill. There's no way that, I don't care who is not. There's no one that's going to have as much influence over the members of the General Assembly as the 500 mayors and the 159 county commission chairmen and all the commissioners and all the city councilmen have over their local representatives, and there's no way it'll pass. The only way that we'll ever get this reduction in the premium tax is this one-shot deal when you put it together in an omnibus bill and you put it up there, and so to speak, you're going to have to hold your nose and vote and get the good with the bad. I think this is going to be good, but the cities and counties are not going to. They're not going to take it lying down. I'll be honest with you. But like I said, the tax council assured me that based on the other adjustments they're making in the whole Georgia tax code that the cities and counties are going to be made whole. And so based on that is the reason that I went and said, if we're going to keep them whole, then let's go forward and let's get rid of this premium tax, because it is so detrimental to the insurance industry in the state of Georgia.
Another question. Why not Florida did? Jacksonville right now with all those insurance companies,
Right.
They had a window. They did something similar to this, but they had a window of opportunity where they left it open for 6-8 years, and then the door closed. Why not, if we look at it, doing anything, is take away the state's portion? I mean, we've got to understand we're talking about money.
Right.
If you do that and then left a window open, say 6-8 years down the road, to see whether or not those companies, by us passing such legislation, would come to Georgia and then offset it by jobs and the opportunity of folks working and income tax.
Right.
Taking that using that step rather than the holistic approach, because number one, you're right. I got 15 council members in Macon, and they'll be fighting if they know that they're finna lose that premium tax money.
Amen.
So can we do it step by step?
I really don't. I mean, it's going to have to be in that legislation. It's going to have to. You're going to have to, so to speak, have a sunset provision or whatever on it. But you're not going to be able. I mean, I'm realistic enough to realize that you're not going to be able to take a standalone bill and drop it in the House or the Senate and get it passed and onto the governor's desk for a signature regarding reduction of the premium tax. Do you think?
I think you can, if we realistically look at what happened. We all realize, because I was opposed to the banking industry, and we let North Carolina get ahead of us. And now all the big banks are in North Carolina.
Right.
But I looked at this about 10 years ago at the opportunity of what Jacksonville did, because I kept wondering every time I go through Jacksonville going to Daytona, why I see all those big buildings, and find out that they did legislation, but they had a window of opportunity, and folks bought into it, and then the window closed. Why not Georgia then? We have some of the large companies here, but they have not domiciled here,
right,
because of the premium, what we call retaliatory tax. And hopefully, if you did that, give that window, and let's see if it will happen, that when you reduce the state portion, if those companies come in, then what we will look at as far as job opportunities and the employment of folks, and whether or not we would then look at the employment and the employment opportunities offsetting what we've lost in state revenue,
right,
and then look at it. But even if we did that, we will reduce it to make companies kind of look back at us, and especially like Aflac, who left, and probably Geico probably would look at it, but that retaliatory tax keeps them from domiciling in Georgia, because they'll charge the same thing in Alabama or Mississippi at the other company.
Right. I mean, and that's the reason. I mean, Peachtree Casualty. You think Peachtree? That's Atlanta, Georgia. Jacksonville. They moved out of Georgia, probably in this window of opportunity that you're talking about. They redomesticated in Jacksonville. We've got a list over in the department of probably in just the last several years of Georgia domestics that have moved out of the state of Georgia and redomesticated other places, primarily because of the premium tax. And these were smaller companies that started in Georgia, and once they started growing and they want to expand into other states, that's when they moved, because of the retaliatory nature of the premium tax by other states. And if there's some way you can come up to systematically reduce it, that's fine with me. My objective is to make Georgia the best place in the United States for an insurance company to come in here and do business.
Representative Lucas, before you got here and before Representative Holt got here, everybody introduced themselves.
Can I introduce him?
No. Got to be careful now. So if you'll go ahead and introduce yourself. I know you've said you're from Macon and all, but just tell a little bit about you so that people in the audience or people who are on the internet may know something.
Right now, I am the longest-serving member of the Georgia General Assembly, Calvin Smyre and myself. This is my 37th year. I am the longest-serving member on the Insurance Committee. I came in with Crawford Ware. There are a lot of things. I'm young, but just age-wise, I've just matured.
Okay. All right, thank you, sir. Representative Holt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I'm Doug Holt from District 112, which is Morgan and Newton counties. I've had the pleasure of being on this committee for the 6 years that I've been here so far, and I've enjoyed it quite a bit. I guess the understanding of why I was qualified to be here in the beginning was because when I started out as a computer programmer, I worked for Mag Mutual, and so I did get the opportunity to see the inner workings of an insurance company, and I've had a chance to learn a whole lot more here since. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioners, thank you, sir.
You through with me?
We're finished with you. We're going to do a little bit of organizational rules and all, but we'll have you back. Oh, introduce Ron back there so everybody on the committee will know who Ron Jackson is.
Ron's got a tendency to sit on the back row. He did it last year, but this is Ron Jackson. He's the legislative liaison for the Department of Insurance with the General Assembly. If you have any needs at all, any informational needs, get in touch with Ron. He can get it for you.
Very good. Thank you, sir. And I can vouch for that because he and I have talked several times, practically every day.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
I've only got a couple more items to do, and the young man sitting next to me, I have not forgot him. Greg Forster, he's our committee aide, does research, all this kind of stuff. So tremendous asset for what this committee is trying to do. And I'm really glad that the commissioner talked about job creation. I am really glad about that because that is important. But Greg will work very closely with all the committee members, and we'll get this thing moving on. In your packet, you have a list of rules. All the rules 1 through 9 are the same as they were last year and probably the year before. I added 10, 11, and 12 that the officers shall be ex officio voting members. Chairman, I will not sign any legislation that comes before this committee. I don't think I should. And legislation should be or shall be presented to Legislative Council 24 hours in advance so that she'll have time to do the research necessary so that we don't have some unintended consequences when some of these things are amended. So be sure you have the adequate time to get this information to her. Entertain a motion, yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Now, and all the work's going to be done primarily in subcommittee, so that when we take these to the subcommittee, they'll vet them thoroughly. I want to be sure that when it comes out of subcommittee, that hopefully it's going to be in the final form, knowing full well that it won't be. But we'll have adequate time to look at legislation after it's come out of the subcommittee. In case you want to make an amendment, you still need to talk with her in order to have time to have her draft that amendment. Representative Chokas.
I'd like to move that we accept these rules.
Do I hear a second? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Okay, also on the in your sheet you'll see the subcommittees and the chairs. Like I said, this is where the bulk of the work will be done to ensure that each one of these bills are fully vetted. Property and casualty, Representative Rich Golick, he left a minute ago. Life and Health, Representative Keith Hurd, and Administration and Licensing, Representative Bill Hembry. So once legislation is assigned to that committee, then we will, the committee process will get started. Let's see. Representative Maxwell, Vice Chairman Holt, raise your hand. I think they know this guy. We would like to say we will, because of the rules, we will be voting members, and we probably will attend every subcommittee meeting we can, because we need to have a better understanding. The only thing I have left, and y'all will be welcome to add anything to this, We do have two bills that I'm going to go ahead and assign to subcommittee. House Bill 47. This is a health insurance, so it's going to Representative Hurd's Life and Health Subcommittee. And House Bill 66, it's a certificate of insurance forms. That will go to Representative Hembry's Administration and Licensing. Once they've gone through and vetted these bills and voted on them, we'll discuss them fuller in committee. Does anyone else have anything good for the order? Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you.